You feel like the system is against you. You can't make any progress. And if you do, it's very finite. You go up and down on this roller coaster. Well, I'm going to share the secret and tips with you today to help you beat the system. I'm going to teach you about certain laws and certain systems that you don't know about that are working against you so that you can understand these and make them work for you. And you can rig the game when it comes to improving your health, wealth, relationships, and happiness and stay consistent with it. So let's jump in. When it comes to growing a business, whether it's online coaching, face-to-face PT, real estate, e-commerce, you name it, you're mainly looking for, and I used to be one of these people that is addicted to stimuli. We're looking for the next shiny object, the next funnel hack, the next system, whatever it may be. And let me be completely honest with you. All the systems work, okay? I worked with a mindset coach for 5 years that built 90% of his business just through email. He gave away lead magnets, audio books, loads of value, got people on an email list, promoted his offer every single month, did a live workshop to get more sales, and now he runs a seven-figure business, multiple seven-figure business. It's also, we're looking for things like the next funnel hack, okay? And funnels work, right? If you get addicted to the fundamentals, or the next DM strategy. And those work as well, right? You message enough people, you get enough no's, you'll get enough yeses eventually, right? But all of those systems, all of those tactics, all of those funnels and lead generation hacks are absolutely useless if you do not understand certain laws, if you do not work internally, if you do not shift your beliefs, if you do not shift your paradigms, if you do not assassinate parts of your character that aren't serving you and recruit new parts of your character that will. And like any law, if you don't know how it works to make it work for you, it's going to work against you. Very similar to any of you right now that may have read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? And I wish I read that book a long, long time ago. And one of the things that Robert Kiyosaki says in that book is that if you do not know how the laws and principles of money work, they will work against you. For example, in my mid to late 20s, I was in about £30,000 worth of debt. I was in debt up to my elbows, on my knees every day, thinking, how am I going to get out of this hole? And if I would have understood how debt actually works so I can leverage it for me, it wouldn't have been used against me. And that's why a lot of people, including myself, got to an age where we're in our 20s or 30s and we weren't in the financial situation we wanted to be in, because there are other people out there like banks and credit cards and other people in financial sectors that understand the laws of money and the laws of wealth more than we do. When you start to understand these, then you can create more wealth. But also it's understanding certain laws like the law of reversibility and the law of assumption, which I'm going to touch on today. And understand that your current internal world is a reflection of your external world. Any belief system that you have right now, you cannot act out of alignment with it. If it's a strong core belief, if you assume it to be true, because a belief is just your perceived truth. Like I could say, I believe that Arsenal are the best football team in the world, right? And you'll say, no, they're not, it's Chelsea or whatever it may be. But that's my perceived truth. And some of your core beliefs and some of your perceived truths and some of your assumptions about the world and money and client acquisition and building a business to 10K plus a month are working against you, not for you. And I want to just share with you today just a basic overview. And if you guys like this stuff, I can share more of it. That will help you use these universal laws. And it's going to sound a bit woo-woo, a bit hairy-fairy, a bit spiritual, whatever it may be. But what you've got to understand is everything on this planet vibrates. We're made up of tons of atoms. And these atoms are 99% antimatter. So we really don't matter at all. And these atoms that make up this desk, that make up this bottle, that make up me, if you look at them in a microscope deep enough, they're vibrating at a fast speed. And we are vibrating at different levels on a daily basis. And I'm going to just share something with you at the moment, which is the map of consciousness. Oh, I can't even spell consciousness. There we go. The map of consciousness shows how bad my spelling is, right? So there's something called the map of consciousness, and there's many, many different examples of the map of consciousness. But this one here looks pretty decent. Let's have a look what we got if we click on here. So this is the map of consciousness, right? And I don't know how well you can see this if I zoom in. Okay. And each of these colors represent a different level. If you think about like the chakras in the body, right? And if you're not into this shit, just turn off this video right now, okay? But this is what gets you to the next level. It's the vibration, it's the energy, it's the frequency that you put out. And the more conscious you can be, the more you can change your reality. The more that you can change who you think you are, your I am, which are the two most powerful words you'll say, the more you change your I am, the more your world changes. If you just change one of your I ams, the rest of your world will change. And if you think about it, like if any of you have read the book The Secret, right? The Secret is great, but it's a load of shit if you don't put action behind it. So the law of attraction works if you put the action behind it. And this is what I'm going to teach you a bit about today, the law of assumption, okay? So if you look on this vibrational bit here, you can see like the names of the level, the God view, the process, where your state is. And a lot of people are vibrating below like 200, right? You know, they're angry, they're desperate, they're fearful, you know, they have shame because, you know, you shame yourself all the time because you keep ripping up that contract with yourself. You say you're going to do something, the weekend goes by, you have all these amazing ideas. I'm going to start a YouTube channel, I'm going to create better content, I'm going to get a like for it, I'm going to do some research, I'm going to learn about ads. And then you literally break the promise to yourself. And that breaking the promise to yourself is breaking the bond with yourself, which is self-love, self-trust, and your self-mastery. And no wonder you're feeling like shit. And it's all about keeping promises to you. This is just one step. But when you come out of this and you get to level 4 to 500, you're in love mode, right? And you've got to think that the law of attraction and the law of vibration means that everything that you could possibly want has already come to you because you are where you are, because that's where you're meant to be. And you have all the tools to stay the same, but you can access more tools physically, mentally, and emotionally to get access to more. You've got to think to yourself, why do people seem to get everything in life effortlessly? Money, love, wealth, whatever it may be. It just seems effortless. It's always coming to them. It's because they're emitting a certain frequency. And if you cast your mind back to several weeks, months, or even years ago, you'll be able to remember a time when you were in flow state, where everything was just going well. You know, money was coming towards you, clients, you're getting loads of engagement. And I want you to cast yourself back to what were your thoughts and feelings and emotions and beliefs and assumptions about certain things so that you can prove to yourself that you can step back in it. Because when you're in that frequency, everything comes to you. And when you're not in that frequency, everything comes to you that you don't want. Because everything in life is working out for you perfectly based on what you did yesterday that imprints today. But most of us are spending all of our time over here in the future, feeling scared, a lack of, overwhelmed, fearful, anxious about what's to come. Or we're over here in the past, thinking about what happened, what shoulda, coulda, and I should have done this, and regret and bad experiences. So you're not living in the present moment. Because time is just a social construct. We're just on one continual timeline that is in several layers. And there's a timeline of me down here living in my mum's fucking spare room, still getting pissed every weekend. I'm living on my timeline now of where I am with me and my family. There's also a timeline above where I'm living on the same timeline, just a level above, where I'm actually experiencing and making more impact than I am right now. And I'm just energetically trying to shift into it using the law of assumption. And if you think about, like, we are like this giant antenna emitting out a signal. Whatever signal we put out, we get back. It's like if you're going to watch TV and you want to watch horror, you click the TV remote, it emits a signal and then it projects horror in front of you. If you want to watch love, you do the same thing. But what you've got to remember, guys, is you're the fucking antenna. You are the antenna. And whatever frequency, whatever feeling that you are in here, whatever your feelings are, if you have an association with DMs, that it's sleazy, it's salesy, you have an association with money, there's a lack of, you have an association with the market, that you assume that they don't have money in their skin and they don't want to work with you, then that feeling is going to create an emotion. An emotion is just energy in motion. And that's going to create a vibration through your body. And then you're going to emit a signal, a frequency, and you're going to just get more of it back. So if you're in lack of money right now and you're scraping the barrel, sitting in a vibration and a feeling and emotion of a lack of and scarcity, and there isn't enough and overwhelm, you're just going to project that out and get more of it back. So you need to start living as if the wish is fulfilled. And that's what I'm going to talk about right now, using something called the law of assumption. So the law of assumption, I'm just going to make myself a bit smaller, states here that it's based on the idea that what you assume to be true becomes your reality. Okay? So whatever you assume to be true becomes your reality. Just think about it. Replay that over in your head over and over again. Just think about it for a second. And if you assume this to be true, it will become true. It's like, for example, I was speaking to my clients earlier today, if you're going to go into a hostile environment with someone where there's a bit of a friction, what's the first thing you say when you go and approach them? You say, hi, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to argue, but. When you say you don't want to argue, but, what ends up happening, you get into an argument. Because when you say and think and project out what you don't want, you get back more of what you don't want. I don't want to argue. Or if you can approach it with love. Hey, thanks for meeting me today. I just really want to resolve this. I don't want to go through this anymore. I just want to draw a line in the sand. I want us to just come to an agreement. We're both in the wrong about X, Y, Z. Anything I've done to you, like, I'll take full ownership. And I just want to get back to our friendship and what we had. Can you see how that's a different vibration? You can see how I've done it from a different approach. And I'm just going to get back more of what I want because the walls are going to come down. And that's just a small example, right? And then from there, Neville Goddard, who I learnt this from, right? And I've studied a lot of his stuff. I don't know what's going on with this. Let me just move myself there. There we go. He said the law of assumption is a powerful concept that emphasizes the role of imagination into manifesting our desires. According to Goddard, what we assume to be true is what we call our reality. You've got to think this is technically a matrix we live in. Like what I assume to be true, what I assume to be fact, what assumptions I have around money and love and health are completely different to you right now. And that creates my reality. And my reality is totally different to yours. But if you're not enjoying your reality, if you're not happy with your reality, then if you change your assumptions about it, if you change your assumptions about yourself, what you're worthy of, what you're entitled to, whatever it may be, you can change the exterior world. You can change the external. It's crazy. Take this coming from someone that was an alcoholic for 10 years. Take this from someone who was single for 4 years before I met my lovely wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, that was working in a gym, personal training, getting up at 4 a.m. to train clients at 5, in between workouts, going home to nap because I've been burning a can at both ends, drinking every night, smoking at the weekend sociably, spending time in, not environments that I really should be in, complaining about life on a low, thinking I'm never gonna have love, I'm never gonna have wealth. I was literally working every month to pay my bills and just have enough money left over for beer money, no savings, no hope of a family, approaching the age of, I think I was, how old was I when I met my wife? 33, or 34. I'm 39 now. And just basically giving up hope. To cast yourself 5 years later from meeting my lovely wife to being married, we're moving to the island of Crete in 4 weeks, being financially free, being location free, having a beautiful 10-week-old daughter. I've got the best relationship you could ever ask for. I've got my partner, my business partner, my lover, my best friend. And I'm not saying any of this to brag. I'm not saying any of this to impress you, just to press upon you what you can do. Like, I've not just done a 180 with my life, I've done a 360. And I didn't get to where I am now through a funnel or through DMs, whatever it may be. Yes, they were a part of it, but it was about changing my vibration because I needed to match that of the person that can do those things consistently and do them really well to create the outcomes that I want. Because we're not chasing money, we're not chasing business, we're chasing our identity and character that matches it of the person. And you all know watching this right now, there's a version of you out there. You see him in the future that gets up earlier, that works that bit harder, that leans into love, that isn't as emotional, that's mad disciplined, consistent, focused, has great emotional management. That is a man or a woman of his or she's word. You do what you said you would. And you've just got to live as if the wish is fulfilled. You've got to live from the event now, not to the event in the future. You've got to assume that you already have it. You don't need to wait for your Stripe account to change to feel wealthy. You need to get the frequency of wealth now so you can attract it. Because if you haven't got the frequency of wealth and the frequency of abundance, right? Because gratitude triggers abundance, you can have the opposite, which is fear and scarcity. And fear and scarcity doesn't attract wealth. Abundance and gratitude does. It's about an energetical frequency, a state that you get into. So he said, using the imagination as a catalyst for realizing our dreams and aspirations. So in his teachings, Goddard stresses about the importance of assuming that the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And he believed by doing so, we could attract our desires into our lives. And I've managed to do this successfully, but it takes practice. So what we've got here is some of the core principles. So belief and imagination, you want to emphasize, well, I want to emphasize, that you need to use belief and imagination as the central practice to this. The belief in a desired state is essential for the manifestation. It has to be. And before you start saying to me, how do I manifest, Russ? Like, everyone manifests already. It's like asking me, how do you breathe? Like, you are manifesting right now, but you're just doing it subconsciously. You need to do it consciously. The conscious is what's going to get you there, not the subconscious. And if you don't make the subconscious conscious, it will drive your life. It will drive your outcomes, and you'll just call it fate. And we don't want that anymore. So the power of assumption, you get this by assuming that the feeling of the wish fulfilled can create real life change in your life right now. You need to have this power of assumption. And there's a few practical steps. You need to identify your desires. You need to clearly define what you want to manifest. If it's your next 10 clients, if it's a Lamborghini, whatever it may be, you need to clearly define it. Crystal clear. You can smell it, you can taste it, you can touch it. I did this every day from January this year with the villa that we're moving into in the next 4 weeks. And I pictured like how it looked, the color scheme, the swimming pool, the grass. And my wife just went away on her own and found us the villa while I've been working here in the office. And when she showed me, I was like, fuck off. She was like, what do you mean? I said, that is what I've visioned for the last 8 months or 9 months, whatever it was. I said, I've been closing my eyes every morning, and I've been living there every day. I wake up as if I'm already there. And lo and behold, I'm going to be getting the keys to it in 4 weeks' time. And me and my family, that's where we're going to be residing for the near future. Once again, I don't say anything like this to impress you. It's just press upon you what you can do when you really put your mind to it. And you've got to create that mental image. You've got to feel the emotions. You've got to have really good positive self-talk to support your affirmations. You can do this for your content, your DMs, your ads, your YouTube. I've just started a YouTube channel recently. I've only uploaded 6 videos. Got a few hundred views here and there. But I want at least 1,000 views per video. I want at least 10,000 subscribers. But I can't act from the assumption of want in the future. I've got to act from the assumption of the here and now. So I have to act and assume I already have 10,000 subscribers. I get 1,000 to 2,000 views per video. And when I meditate on that, when I get into that vibrational state, when I get uplifted and I get inspired, I'm like, that's my next video idea. Because it needs to be the value that matches getting 1,000 views. It needs to be the sound quality that matches. It needs to be the tonality that matches. It needs to be the authenticity that matches. It's like when you look at people on Instagram that get 500k views every single video, whatever it may be, you're like, oh, I wish my content was like that. Well, if it was like that, you'd get the same views. Does that make sense? So you have to wake up tomorrow and say, I get 5,000 views for every video I put out. I get 5,000 views, and then act from the wish fulfilled. Because what's got you here ain't going to get you there. You can't do the same type of posting, the same camera quality, captions, hooks, the information, the value to get there. It's like, what would it look like if I was there? Let me make this even clearer for you. Let's look at your body. If you're not happy with your body right now, or you haven't been in the past, getting in shape is easy. Staying in shape is hard because it's an identity shift. But I remember when I was working in a gym and some young lad said, Russ, I'd love to have a 6-pack like you. I used to be ripped when I was younger. I'm not as ripped now, as you can see. And he said, like, you know, I want to have a 6-pack like you. I was like, well, let's just say we're 12 months into the future and you've done everything you should to get a 6-pack. What does each day look like for you? It's like, well, I'm probably going to get up at 5 a.m. I'm going to do fastest cardio. When I come back, I'm going to have my supplements, my shake. I'm then going to go to work. And then at break time, I'm going to have some eggs. Then at lunchtime, I'm going to go for a walk to get in some more cardio. I'm going to finish work at 4. I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to do this body part split. I'm going to do half-hour cardio at the end of it. I'm going to come home. I'm going to eat these meals. I was like, cool. I was like, well, can you hold on to that feeling and that state and live it today as if it's already done? And instead of looking in the mirror and assuming you're out of shape, you assume that you already have a 6-pack. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, that is the secret, brother. If you just start doing that from tomorrow, you do it consistently enough and stay in that frequency and that vibrational state and stay committed to that identity, that 2.0 version of you, then guess what? It will come. It will come. And not only will it come and not only will you get it, you'll keep it for life. You will keep it for life. I kid you not. And this is how all the greats out there do it. Some people just do this naturally without thinking about it. Some people do. They just don't understand they're doing it, but they are. It's about making the subconscious conscious. And then we're looking at like kind of techniques. And there are certain techniques that you can do for this. You can do the revision technique, which is mentally revise past events to support their assumptions. Because we've all been there in the past. We've all had times where we were in flow, when we were consistent, when we were showing up, when we was a man or woman of our word. And that's really what you need to be doing, is not replaying old events of when you didn't show up in the old frequency. It's the new one. But remember, that old frequency is going to fight the new one. It's going to battle it all the time and try and destroy it. So you've got to stop feeding that old life. You've got to starve it off and start feeding and nourishing the new one. And there's things like living in the end. So you've got to act and think as if the desire is already reality. You've got to live as if it's already reality. So you already, like, there's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. You should read it. So it's a great book. Meditation and visualization, like regular practice of meditation or visualization techniques to reinforce those assumptions. I do my body scan every morning. I don't stop doing it because I'm getting into that frequency and I'm closer and closer to living that dream. And then once I get to that villa in Greece, guess what? I'm going to set a new one, a new goal, a new version, a new upgraded one. I'll be going from 2.0 to 3.0, and you can do the same. You've got to do it daily, and you've got to stay positive, because there's going to be common challenges. There's going to be hurdles. You're going to get skeptical. You're going to get negative self-talk. You're going to get impatient. But if you've been going on this roller coaster of up and down with your health, wealth, relationships, or happiness for weeks, months, years, or even decades, you're going to have some patience, guys. You're going to have to commit to the new life for as long as you've committed to the old one to start building. So in a nutshell, write out your goals. Do your affirmations daily. Visualize daily, morning and night. Feel it and experience it. You want to do it from a first-person perspective. The feeling is the secret. It's the vibrational language of the universe. You want to create a mental script or story. You want to live from the end, act as if it's happened now. The wish is fulfilled. Be consistent and get in the reps, and be persistent always. Always have positive self-talk, and also monitor your self-talk as well. Catch yourself when you're going back to it. You want to detach from the means of the hows and just trust in the universe, and reflect and revise your assumptions, because they're going to alter where necessary, and just express gratitude as if you already have it. So, as I said before, like, this isn't one of those videos on 5 ways to get more leads, 7 hooks to do for your Instagram reels. And don't get me wrong, that is important. But you've got to ask yourself, if you already had the character and the identity and the belief systems and the frequency of someone that has the money you desire, you'd already have it, right? So I'd love to hear in the comments below what your biggest takeaways were from this and what you're going to do about it. Much love, guys.